Hey there, it's 3 o'clock on a Tuesday. We all know what that means. Another riveting episode of Behind Breaking Law.
Hey, Kahan, Director of Victim Services. I'm wearing my Unabomber shirt here today because I got to get out in this weather and drive to Austin.
It's
fun-filled.
It's almost strange to see it rain. You know, it's like we've gone so long. Introduce yourself, young man.
Doug Griffith, and I'm president of the Houston Police Officers Union.
And what have you been up to?
Trying to stay dry today, but you know, between baseball, football, active 12-year-old, that's what you do.
Yeah. What we're going to update last week's breaking bond defendant, Mr. Williams, right?
Why are we going to update him? So I'm telling you what. So you remember? Yeah, was it last week? Because last week we did the guy who has 14 prior felony convictions, mostly for theft. So nonstop. But you know, one time he actually got 10 years in 1988. He got 13 years in 1991. Then he got 20 years in 1994. So early on in his criminal career, he was getting hammered, right?
Yeah.
For this stuff. Then you can see there's a lull between 1994 and 2002. And my best guess is
he was in prison.
At least 10.
Yeah.
My best guess is that he couldn't continue his criminal career because it's kind of hard to when you're locked up.
Right.
But so he resumed once again 2002, 5, 2007, 2009, 2014, 2015, 2017, 2019, 2022. So all that, he gets charged with theft of a catalytic converter.
That was his thing.
That was, and
Catalytic
we all
converters.
know what can happen when you're stealing, right? Because we had a.
It's almost like you were lucky if it didn't happen to you. It just was so common, right?
Absolutely.
And
we had
then-
a sheriff's officer
Yes,
lose his
we had
life
the-
That's right. Yes.
over catalytic converters.
And that was one of the things that we pointed out in the story is that here we had a change and the law changed because of the deputy, like the penalty was enhanced if you got convicted. And here he's given a PR bond. One of the conditions of his bond was you cannot have a chainsaw.
In all my years, I don't know, Doug, have you ever seen that as a condition?
I have not. I mean, I've seen criminal instruments, stuff like that, but I've never
A
seen
chainsaw.
the actual saw that's going to cut off a catalytic converter. No, I've not seen that.
So then what happened yesterday?
So I just, that's just who I am. I decide to check, I don't know, whatever reason, I just kind of figured it was just a matter of time before, he would resume his career or decide he wants to go into business for himself. So I just did a check and voila, guess what? He's charged with another theft.
Happened
He was charged
yesterday.
with a theft October the 2nd. He was evidently found in possession of not what is his, but he evidently allegedly stole 17 pieces, not pieces, but that's a good sign anyway, 17 pieces of metal pipe.
And
Why do you want 17 pieces of metal pipe?
I guess take it down to the metal
Right.
depth location,
Make
and drop
some
it off.
money.
I don't know.
And what was his bond for this one?
Another PR bond.
So,
You can't script this.
no,
You could make the argument that it's not violent, but how can you, in good conscience, let someone like that out with a get out of jail free card when they have a history of 14 prior convictions? You know that he's going to go out and steal.
well,
Right.
that's part of the issue. You look at this. He's got 14 priors. I gave him a first PR bond. Okay. Obviously, when he picked up the second case, it violated the first PR bond.
Right,
Yet instead of that, they just reissue that one and give him a second.
right.
It makes absolutely no sense because all this guy does is go around stealing stuff from hardworking individuals like those citizens out there that are watching us right now.
Well, this guy deserves rabbit ear. I'm telling, this is what, when I saw that, I went, you know what? I don't know why there's rabbit ears upstairs, but there were, but I thought, you know what? This guy is lucky as a lucky rabbit,
Look,
right? A
definitely.
rabbit, you know,
I
so
was about to say that's
there's-
awkward.
don't sell this photo.
Well, and you look at what we see in other parts of the country, right? I forget where, but somewhere they were closing Target stores because they were it was too dangerous for the people working there and for customers to go there because people would run in and steal stuff.
Well, if you look, especially over on the West Coast right now, these businesses are leaving these cities left and right because one, they don't have paying customers because it's nothing but homeless.
Right.
But number two, the people that are still there go in and steal everything they have. And it's sad you have to walk into a Walgreens and everything's behind a locked
Not only
door.
they steal it, they don't even try to pretend they're not
No,
stealing.
Oh, no,
right.
they'll
It's
take a
just
shopping
grab
cart
and go,
in.
yeah.
I'm gonna walk.
Going in.
I mean, you saw what, and then we have this cute code word that I was on your colleague show last week talking about, and we call it flash mobs,
Yeah.
right? Because that just sounds so much better than what it
Oh, right.
really is engaging in organized
Right.
crime, because everyone is told to meet up at this for the intent
Right.
purposes of stealing merchandise. But we call it, a flash mob, because it just sounds so much.
Well, I mean, if
Well, a flash mob is a dance group.
Right.
So that's what it started as. So they need to stop hijacking that name and use it for what it is. It's a riot. It's a mini riot.
do you see that happening here? If we keep doing this, everybody gets
Oh,
a get out of jail
absolutely.
free card.
Look, things start on the West Coast and about a year later they end up here.
Yeah.
And that's just the natural progression of things that you see. The same thing goes for law enforcement. You see it. I go to a conference every year, the top 50 labor organizations in the nation that are law enforcement. And you can always bank whatever's happening on the West Coast is coming here. It's about a year behind.
Yeah.
A year to 18 months, we'll start seeing it here. And we did. We saw the marijuana legalized, or not legalized, but not enforced. And then we have the, theft under 750 now. Write them a ticket, let them go. To me, that does a disservice to the person who's being victimized.
Right.
It really does. They call us because they need us to put them in jail because they're tired of being victimized, yet we have to, by policy, issue them a citation, let them go. It looks like we're not doing our job when we are handcuffed our own by policy and the law.
Well, you all probably spend a lot of time arresting the same people over and over again.
Obviously.
Right?
That guy's got what, twice in a week?
Yeah.
Something like that.
2 week span.
2 week
In
span, he's been-
in 2
and-
weeks, he's
And most of the
back.
times he got caught.
Right.
How many times did he do it and he hadn't been caught?
Yeah.
I guarantee every day he's out there stealing from somebody.
So I put this up earlier on another guy because I just can't, again, I look at this stuff and I shake my head. So this one guy named Michael James Howard has 5 felony convictions. He actually went to prison for 2 years for assault with intent to impede breathing and a felony assault of a family member. And then he started his real career as theft. So in 2022, he's convicted of felony theft, sentenced to 7 months in jail. January of 23, he's convicted again of felony theft, sentenced to 7 months again. August of 23, he's again convicted of felony theft, sentenced to 9 months in jail in August. He gets out, obviously, because he's charged with felony theft September 13th of 23. Now, despite what I just said, he was actually given a felony PR bond. Keep in mind, he had 2 prior felony theft convictions in the same year, 7 months and 9 months. Then gets charged again,
Okay,
given
so
a PR bond,
the 9 months, when did that start?
August.
And he's
which
out in
meant that-
September.
Yes. Yeah, I can't make this stuff up. So he's out in September again. So he forfeited the PR bond within days. And then September 29th, 10 days after he forfeited the PR bond, charged again with another felony theft. So that's 4 felony theft charges, including 2 convictions so far in 23.
Wow. I don't understand the thinking. I mean,
Well, this is the issue we're running into. We still have way too many people in the county jail.
right.
They can't hold them. So what they do, they continue to give them PR bonds. The county needs to do a better job of housing our inmates, especially the violent offenders and repeat offenders. Because obviously this guy's not going to change his ways. He's not gonna all of a sudden turn around and go, hey, I've seen the light. I'm not,
Right.
I'm gonna stop stealing from everybody. It just doesn't work that way.
Right.
So unfortunately, until we get a grasp on our jails and start being able to hold people accountable, nothing's gonna happen. And understand, the Texas prison system right now is down by 20%.
Because-
there's plenty
yeah,
of room.
There's
Right,
plenty of room.
yes.
We have to have trials and get them convicted and send them where they belong.
Yeah.
And until our judges start doing that, we're stuck where we are. And we're gonna continue to see, that guy will end up getting out, he'll go do it again and again and again. You can sit up and watch him every day, put him in jail, he knows there's no ramifications.
Right.
He don't give a crap. It's just gonna continue, and it's gonna get worse.
I can't imagine how frustrating that must be for officers.
Right.
And I can't even fathom. And then for citizens too, because if you're a citizen, you're seeing this and you're calling about a theft or a quote, a nonviolent crime, you're not exactly a priority call, right?
Correct.
You'll be lucky if someone actually physically comes and takes a report in this day.
More
and
than
age.
likely, they're gonna call you back on the phone and say, hey, can we take your report over the phone?
Yeah.
And we do what we can with what we have. But again, you start looking at numbers, and I preach this all the time, and people, some understand it, some don't. We are 677 square miles. We have 5,100 policemen. Chicago, who's obviously worse, but they have 368 square miles, something like that. They have almost 11,000. So it tells you what we're having to do with the amount of numbers that we have. So yeah, there are going to be times when we're not going to make it out there.
Right.
Or it's going to be a long time that you're going to wait, which is a disservice to our citizens. It really is. We all signed up to do this job, and we do it gladly, and we love it. I love this job. Obviously, I hadn't been on the streets in a couple of years other than just going out here and there and riding. But our officers are out there busting their butt, call to call to call. Half of them go without lunch every day, but they do it because they love the job. But it's frustrating to get on a scene and have someone upset with you because it took you 3 hours to get there. And the poor citizen don't know that they ran 10 calls before they got this one.
Right.
But it's still frustrating all the way around.
How many
For them
officers do you
and for
think
officers.
the department should have?
Well, I can tell you this, the last study done was in 2014. I still have a copy of it. We were 1,500 down at that time.
And that was in 2014.
Yeah, almost 10 years ago. We have about 250,000 more people in the city of Houston now and 300 less officers than we had then.
And again, I think that if we went back, if the court system went back to the way it was before, where everybody should get a bond, there's no doubt about that. But if you're out on bond and you pick up a new criminal charge, you need to be in jail.
Especially within like a short time
Oh,
span.
yeah.
Yeah, like a matter of a day or two.
Obvious. Yes.
Well, again, if they would have held him for the 7 months, there's 2 cases he wouldn't have gotten. Just
Right.
saying.
Yeah, no, yes, yeah. Well, and I mean,
7 months, and he's less than 2 weeks.
how many times have we done stories where someone was murdered by somebody out on bond, and they had violated the bond? If they were in jail, that person would be alive.
Yeah.
Aren't we doing like something like that tonight?
Yes, yeah, we've got one of those
I caught
tonight.
your segue. That-
What, you think that things are gonna change with the mayoral race? I mean, crime is obviously gonna be a big talker in that race, don't you think?
Yes, but understand, city officials have little to do with what these judges do.
That's right, yeah. I don't know how many times people would say, Mayor Turner, he has nothing to do with the judicial system.
Now, I'll be honest, I wish he was more vocal about it, saying that they need to
You
get
have
out
a
their
bully
backside and
pulpit.
handle it.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
You do.
And I think Whitmire will be good at that. I don't know enough about Sheila Jackson Lee to make an honest statement on that. Obviously, we're supporting Whitmire, and he's been, in the forefront of law enforcement for 40 years.
Well, his entire career in the Senate has pretty much been criminal justice. I
Correct.
mean, that's kind of his thing.
And I think that until we do something in Harris County to start holding these judges accountable, because again, everybody talks about law enforcement and qualified immunity. Oh, we need to take qualified immunity away. Well, how about the judges and their absolute immunity?
Right.
They have absolute immunity. They can do whatever
Whatever they want to.
They cannot be held accountable.
That's right.
The
One of
worst
the
you can do
things-
is a bar complaint, and that is not going anywhere.
Right.
One of the things that I have noticed considerably, at least in the last month when I've been looking particularly at some of the nonviolent felony offenses, is that a majority of the offenders who are getting PR bonds, it's coming from
A magistrate.
Mhm.
an unknown, unnamed, we have no.
Right. That talk about,
And those are straightly are picked by the commissioner's court via their little group of
Right.
judges.
yes.
Several, there's I think 3 or 4 judges that pick who the magistrates are going to be.
Yeah.
They're not beholden to anybody.
No, they're not. They're not. We did a breaking bond report 2 or 3 weeks ago where, we had the probable cause and the magistrate hearing officer is basically, it sits there and says like more than one time, you are a danger to society. The public is not safe with you out, and gave him a $15,000 bond, which means $1,500, and he walked
You've
out.
admitted publicly that releasing you is not in the best
But
interest.
still does it.
But you're still doing it.
We had a magistrate stay because of how they put it, fiduciary responsibility. We're going to say no PC because there's no reason to bring this to a trial. And they let the guy walk.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute, never heard that before, but
Yeah.
they say the county don't have the money to try every single case, so that's why they kick some of them in PC court. I'm like, whoa. If our officers go out there and do their job,
Right.
and they have good PC, and then y'all kick it just because you want to,
And
That should be the reason to
you've
have
gone to
everybody.
the DA's office. So the DA's
Absolutely.
office is
They've already approved
agreeing
it.
that a crime was committed.
And understand, we're the only county in the state that does that. Every other county, law enforcement just puts them in jail, they work it out later.
Right.
We do not. We call the DA's office, run the facts by them, get the most appropriate charge, and we file on them. And also understand, we could have 3 different offenses at one time. DA's office is only gonna take one, the most serious.
Right.
So we gotta find a way.
No,
to
the
fix this.
magistrates, and I was explaining this to someone the other day, they are the true gatekeepers.
They are. Yeah.
Of the in and out of who's gonna get out,
Yeah.
who's
And when
gonna
you-
remain in, but nobody knows who they are.
And we have seen instances where a magistrate will set a low bond or a PR bond, then they get to district court and the actual judge will raise it, will make it higher, not all the time, but sometimes we've seen that happen.
Well, we saw something similar in the case of Harold Arsenault that was on the run for 5 years and charged with the murder of Gloria Jimenez, whose body has never been found.
Right.
And then 5 years go by and he gets finally taken into custody. And I was talking with the family and I was kind of assuring him, there's no way he's going to get, a bond. And then all of a sudden the magistrate sets a $250,000 bond, which was for someone that's been on the run for 5 years.
Should
and
have
also
no
has
bond,
a
right?
prior
Absolutely.
violent
Absolutely.
criminal
Yes.
history. He had already been convicted of an ag assault with a deadly weapon previously, but because there was so much community outrage, it got back to the actual elected district court judge, who then the next day
Raised
raised it, and made it $1 million bond eventually. But it took a community outrage
Right.
for that to happen.
You got to wonder, would that have happened if you didn't have people jumping up and down saying this should not happen?
Correct.
And that's the sad part about it. It's gonna take someone very prominent being murdered by one
Yeah.
of these thugs like that before they ever start doing anything about it.
For the
Yeah.
lack of officers issue, Tina French says, hire our veterans in good standing. It's a no-brainer.
We've been trying to do that. We've been trying to do that for years. We take all veterans. In fact, they make our better policemen, in my personal opinion.
I bet they do. Hey, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for joining us, Doug Griffith. And enjoy this rainy day. Be kind to yourself and everyone else.
And stay tuned for tonight, 'cause we
Yes.
have yet another example of someone who paid the ultimate price by losing his life to someone that was repeatedly released on felony.
A sad, tragic situation, no doubt. Tonight's Breaking Bond on Fox News at 9. Bye.
Peace out.